Alright, Shalom, Shalom Israel, coming back with another video, giving all honor and glory to the Most High Yahweh, which the world calls God, and Yahweh Shai, which the world calls Jesus Christ, Shalom. And today's breakdown is going to be on the 144,000 and the great multitude, right? So I'm going to be explaining that there's going to be more than 144,000 people making it to the kingdom, right? Of those who are keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, as we always emphasize on. So don't get your hopes up. Don't think you could be wicked and do whatever you want and you're going to get the kingdom as a so-called black, Hispanic, and Native American. You still must be keeping the law, statutes, and commandments to receive the kingdom of the Most High, right? So all I'm showing you is that there's going to be more than 144,000 that's making it to the kingdom. Now, we're going to start off with Zechariah 13 and verse 8. And it shall come to pass that in all the land of Israel, saith the Lord, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein. So 1/3 of Israel is going to be left out of the whole, 3/3, right? So 1/3 is going to be saved and is going to make it to the kingdom, and the 2/3 is going to be cut off and die. And I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. And they shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord is my God. Right? So he's going to try us in the times of temptation. Slaki. Let's go to Revelation, get a precept on that real quick. Alright, bear with me. Actually, I'll get a different precept. Let me get Job. So this is the book of Job 23 and verse 10. And it says, but he knoweth the way that I take. When he hath tried me, I shall come forth as gold. So that's going with Zechariah when he says the 1/3 shall be refined, and they'll be tried and be refined as silver. And Slaki, I'm going to read it so I don't mess up the precept. Verse 9, Zechariah 13 and verse 9, and I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. So gold is tried in the fire, and all the impurities have to be melted out of the gold. So likewise with the 1/3 of Israel, he's gonna melt out. He has to try them and purge out that that old man out of them old ways. And, he has to try them and see ultimately if they're gonna keep his law, statutes, and commandments all the way into the end, right? Because the Lord said, "He that endured to the end shall be saved." So get that. This is book of Matthew 23. 24 and verse 13. And it says, but he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. So if you endure to the end, you're going to be saved by the Most High if you're part of the 1/3. Right? Now, I'm going to go back to Zechariah, read it one more time. Bear with me. Right? So, we showing you that more than 144,000 is going to make it to the kingdom. Now, before I had made a couple videos actually on the 144,000, and basically I learned more, and now I have to fix that. You got to fix that. When you're preaching, you can't be prideful and be like, when you learn something new, oh, I'm gonna just leave it there. Oh well, they'll figure it out on their own, or not try to correct yourself. Right? The Lord said you got to examine yourself. So when a brother shows you that such and such is wrong, then you got to go back and fix that. So now that I learned, I'm going to go in the scriptures and show you where I erred, and show you, so now you would know. You would know better. Now I'm going to go back to Zechariah 13. So this is Zechariah 13 and verse 8. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein. And I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord is my God. So if 144,000 was going to make it, right? So now we also know, which I'm going to get a precept on it later, showing that, you know, because Israel, the Lord said, we are as the sand of the sea, right? So us being as the sand of the sea now, right? And you can't number the sands of the sea. You can't go to the beach and count up every single grain of sand. It's impossible. So we are likened to the sand that's on the beach. Now it says 1/3 is going to be left. And he says 2/3 shall be cut off and die, and the 1/3 will be left. Now, if only 144,000 was going to make it. So say, for example, right now, like earlier I had looked it up on Esau, you know, Google. So it said, Esau says there's 150 million Negroes in the Caribbean, right? So when you take 144,000, just that number, he said Esau says that there's 150 million Negroes in the Caribbean, right? And we know there's Israelites all over the world. So that's just in one part according to their number, right? So we're going to take their number and we're going to use that. Now, if you put 144,000 next to the 150 million, is the 144,000 1/3 of 100? Is 144,000 a third? Is it 1/3 of 150 million? No, it's not at all. It's not even close, right? So that shows you that that's one example showing you know there's more than 144,000 people gonna make it to the kingdom. Because again, that's only 150 of the so-called blacks that they say are in the Caribbean. When you only take that number right there and put the 144,000 next to it, 144,000 is not a third of 150 million, right? Now we're going to go to Revelations. Bear with me. This is the book of Revelations. We're going to read 7. We're going to start at 7 and 4. And it says, bear with me. Now, this is the book of Revelation 7 and verse 4. And it says, and I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. And I'm gonna skip down to 9 because the rest it just tells you how much in each tribe. Verse 9. Now that 144,000 is the basically the leaders of Israel, the governors, the heads, the kings, and the men of high stature in Israel. Once we get the kingdom, most high willing, the 144,000 is the governing men of the children of Israel, right? Now this is verse 9. After this I beheld, and lo, so after he said the 144,000 were sealed, then it says, after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb. The Lamb is Yahushai, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. Now, when it's saying nations, kindreds, and peoples and tongues, is that talking about all the nations? Is that talking about the Edomites, the Moabites, the Hamites, the Ammonites? They're going to all get the kingdom now? Is that what that's saying? You're going to come to find out it's not saying that. Now, we're going to prove that real quick. Now, let's go to Isaiah. So, this is the book of Isaiah 40. Bear with me. This is the book of Isaiah 40 and verse 15. And it says, behold, the nations are as a drop of a bucket, and are counted as the small dust of the balance. Behold, he taketh up the isles as a very little thing. Right, verse 17. All nations before him are as nothing, and they are counted to him less than nothing, and vanity. So the Lord, we're going to hold that. The Lord just said the nations are vanity and less than nothing. Right? Now, in this verse, the nations he's talking about is all the other nations besides Israel. So in Revelation 7 and 9, you're going to come to find out that the nations and tongues and that he's speaking about is the children of Israel. And we're going to show you why. Right? So don't go nowhere, you scoffers. Don't go nowhere. Right? So this is 2nd Ezra 6. Second Ezra 6 and verse 57. Now I'm gonna start at 54. And it says, and after these also, Sakia, after these Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures, of him come we all. So everyone comes out of Adam. And the people also whom thou hast chosen. And the chosen people are the children of Israel. Right? Let me get a precept. This is Deuteronomy 7 and verse 6. Bear with me. So this is the book of Deuteronomy 7 and verse 6. And it says, for thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So this is speaking to the Israelites, man. Right? So I'm gonna read it again, right? So verse 6, Deuteronomy 7 and 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Right? So this is Moses speaking to the Israelites, and he told them that we are an holy people, meaning separate, and we are chosen. The Lord chose us out of all the people of the face of, out of all the people that are on the face of this earth, man. So when you go to Second Ezra, 54, and it says, of him come we all, and the people also whom thou hast chosen, is talking about the Israelites. Right? So everyone comes out of Adam, and the chosen people come out of Adam, which are the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Now verse 55. All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sake. So this world was made strictly for the Israelites, but we went off and didn't keep the commandments. So the earth was then given into the hands of the wicked, right? According to Job 9 and 24. Right? Verse 56. As for the other people which are outside of the children of Israel, which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing, but be like unto spittle, and hast likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. Right? And now, O Lord, behold, these heathen, the Lord called them heathens, which have ever been reputed as nothing, so they've always been reputed as nothing, have begun to be lords over us and to devour us, which, goes into how I said, Job 9 and 24, the earth was given into the hands of the wicked because we didn't keep the commandments. So now, I'm going to get Saki. So now we're going to go back to Revelation 7 and 9. And it says, after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. So after the Lord just said all that, is he now letting the other nations get the kingdom now? Are they, they're going to be before the Lamb in white clothing, right? Is that what's going on? No, the Lord doesn't change, man. When he said, I don't care about these nations, that's what it is, right? So this is the book of Malachi. This is Malachi 3 and verse 6. And it says, for I am the Lord, I change not. Therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. So the Lord said, I don't change. So when he said in Isaiah 40, in verse 15 through 17, that the nations are nothing, then when he said in 2nd Ezra 6 and 54 through 57, that the nations are nothing and have been reputed as nothing, that's what he means. He's not changing from that. He's not going to repent and now they can get the kingdom. Now I'm going to give them that white clothing and they can stand before me. Now they can come to the wedding. No. You're going to come to find out the nations and the kindreds and the people and the tongues he's talking about as the children of Israel. Now we're going to prove that. Let's go to Deuteronomy 4 and verse 27. Right? And it's saying kindreds and tongues and nations because Israel is scattered among all the nations on this earth. Right? And there's even there's Issachar that speak Spanish, which is the Spaniards' language. That's not their language. That's not the language the so-called Hispanics spoke. before the Spaniards came over, they spoke Hebrew, right? So they're speaking in a different tongue. Just like even the Haitians, they got their own little Creole, right? That's French. It's literally French. Is that their original language? No, they spoke Hebrew also because they are the Hebrew Israelites. So that's to show you that when he's saying nations, kindreds, and tongues, he's speaking about the Israelites because they were scattered through all the nations of the earth. But we're going to prove that. Let's get Deuteronomy 4 and verse 27. So this is the book of Deuteronomy 4 and verse 27. And it says, "And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen." So it said, "And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither the Lord shall lead you." Right? So the Lord led us into other nations, right? And it says again, it's the Lord, and the Lord shall scatter you among the nations. So the Lord scattered us among the nations, right? And that's how, we got to where we are today. Like America, some Issachar was in South America, North America up here. Then there's so-called Jamaicans out there in the Caribbean. You got damn so-called blacks in France somewhere, right? Now, I'm gonna come back to this, but let me get the book of Luke. All right, so this is Luke 21 and 24. And it says, "And they shall fall by the edge of the sword." So this is the book of Luke 21 and 24. "And they, which is the Israelites, shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, the other nations, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled." So we were led away captive into all nations, right? Now when you go back to Deuteronomy 4 and 27, it goes back onto that again. They go one and the same, because we were led into all the nations. Now this is Deuteronomy 4 and 27. "And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither the Lord shall lead you." Now, if you're a scoffer, you would say, but it says left in few numbers though. Now, when you go to Revelations, it says the great multitude. So you might think, well, if the Lord said he's going to scatter them among the nations and they'll be left few in number, then it's not talking, that great multitude isn't the Israelites, right? Now, we were left few in number at this particular time because we didn't keep the law, statutes, and commandments. All right, let's prove that. All right, bear with me. So I'm going to go to Deuteronomy 28 and verse 1. And it says, "And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the Slakia. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. Blessed shalt thou be in the city, and blessed shalt thou be in the field. Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep." Right? So it says, "Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body," meaning, you giving your nation, right? Giving birth to multiple, just replenishing the earth, or what's that word? Slakish. Bear with me, Israel. Basically populating the earth, man. Right? Because we were left few in numbers because we didn't keep the commandments. The Lord set us in other nations and led us away captives into other nations of the earth because we wasn't keeping the commandments, and then he left us few in number as a curse. But the Lord just said, if we keep the commandments, he said, "Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body." So we will fill the face of this earth, right? Now it says if we keep the commandments, but we didn't keep the commandments. So that's why in verse 4 and 27 it says we will be left few in number. But now in these last days, as the times are growing older, you see Israelites waking up all over the world, and we are starting to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. So Deuteronomy 28 and 4 is now coming into effect, because now we keeping the commandments, and the fruit of our body is blessed because we keeping the law, statutes, and the commandments, right? We're filling the face of this earth. They can't number us, right? There was once upon a time where they had us, at a certain number. They was killing us off, right? And still to this day, they still killing us off. But we're populating the earth so fast, and the numbers of our people is rising and rising. They can't number us or contain us, right? Now also I wanted to touch on something. Proverbs 3 and 33. Now those curses that was put on us, that curse that, we will be left few in numbers, is being put on the heathens now. Because as you can see, Moab, they dying by the coronavirus, which is the Chinese, man. Their population is dropping. And Esau, you look it up, they're literally, a lot of them can't even, a lot of their women are barren. They can't give birth, right? And that's because the Most High ordained that. Because we're keeping the commandments now, those curses that were put on us are being put on the other nations. Right, so bear with me. This is Proverbs 3. Proverbs 3 and 33. Bear with me. The book of Proverbs 3 and verse 33. And it says, "The curse of the Lord is in the house of the wicked, but he blesseth the habitation of the just." So we being blessed and we populating the earth. Meanwhile, the wicked, they're losing faces on this earth, man. They starting to lose a lot of bodies on this earth. Right now, their population is decreasing and our population is increasing as the time goes on, because we are waking up and keeping the law, statutes, and the commandments. So when you go to Revelation 7 and it says the great multitude of the great, I'm gonna read it. Revelation 7 and 9. And hey, some people might not believe, oh, that's talking about the Israelites. It can't be, right? We're gonna read on down, and then it's gonna put the the deal in the coffin, right? It's gonna seal the deal. So Revelation 7 and 9. "After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands." So I just explained to you through the precepts that it says tongues, kindreds, and nations, because we were led away captive into many nations, to all nations. Verse 10, "And cried," so this great multitude, they cried, "and cried with a loud voice, saying, Salvation to our God. Salvation to our God, which sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb." Now, this great multitude, they said, "Our God." Why did they say that? Is the Most High the God of the Moabites? Is he the God of the so-called white man? Is he the God of the Ishmaelites, which is the Middle Eastern people, right? Is he the God of the Indian people, man? Is he the God of the Hamites? He's the God of the Israelites. Let's go to Joel. Bear with me. So this is the book of Joel 2 and verse 27. And it says, ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am the Lord your God, and none else. And my people shall never be ashamed. So this great multitude in Revelation 7 and verse 10, "and cried with a loud voice, saying, Salvation to our God, which sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb." So this great multitude said, our God. And then when you go to Joel 2:27, it says, and ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am the Lord your God, and none else. And none else. And my people shall never be ashamed. So that great multitude that could not be numbered of all nations, kindreds, and peoples and tongues are the Israelites. So that further proves that this multitude is the Israelites now, right? And not only that, but the 144,000 is the governing body of Israel. And there's going to be a great multitude that also joins the 144,000 in the kingdom. Now, we're going to get one more precept. Right? I'm going to get 2nd Ezra 2 and verse 42. So this is the book of Ezra 2 and verse 42. I, Ezra, saw upon the Mount Sion a great people, whom I could not number, and they all praised the Lord with songs. And in the midst of them there was a young man of a high stature, which is Yahushai, taller than all the rest, and upon every one of their heads he set crowns, and was more exalted, which I marveled at greatly. Right? So I asked it, so bear with me, and you're only going to get that crown if you endure. Right? Let's get a precept. This is the book of James 1 and verse 12. You're not going to get that crown on your head if you're not keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. You are not going to be a part of that multitude if you are not keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. Right? So this is James 1 and verse 12. And it says, blessed is the man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord hath promised to them that love him. And you know that you love him, according to 1 John 2 and 3, is if you keeping his commandments. That's how you know you love the Most High. In John 5 and verse 3, that's how you know you love the Most High, right? Now let me get a precept. Bear with me. So this is the book of John 15 and verse 14. And it says, so this is the book of John 15. Oh, Saki. John 14 and verse 15. And it says, if ye love me, keep my commandments. So you only going to get that crown if you love the Most High and if you endure it to the end, man. And keep his commandments. You got to keep the Lord's commandment. Then you will receive that crown that this young man of high stature is giving them. Now let me go back. Verse 44. So I asked the angel and said, sir, what are these? He answered and said unto me, these be they that have put off the mortal clothing and put on the immortal, and have confessed the name of Yahweh. Now are they crowned and receive palms. Then said I unto the angel, what young person is it that crowneth them, and giveth them palms in their hands? So he answered and said unto me, it is the Son of Yahweh, whom they have confessed in the world. Then began I greatly to commend them that stood so stiffly for the name of the Lord. Then the angel said unto me, go thy way and tell my people what manner of things and how great wonders of the Lord thy God thou hast seen. So you see here again, you know, you in verse 42, I Ezra saw upon the Mount Sion, a great people whom I could not number. So again, it's a great multitude. This is precept upon precept showing you that there's going to be a great multitude of people that are also going to gain the kingdom. And those are going to be the ones that have held the faith and kept the law, statutes, and the commandments of the Most High God. Right? So we just showed you through the precepts that not only is there 144,000 of the elect, which are the governing body of Israel, is going to get the kingdom, but also there's a great multitude of people that will also get the kingdom if they keep the law, statutes, and commandments as a so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American. That being said, I'm going to give all honor and glory to the Most High Yahweh, which the world calls God, and Yahweh Shai, which the world calls Jesus Christ. Shalom.